Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the Corner Bookstore. And on this particular episode, we'll be talking about It's All Who You Know, connections, networking. How do we promote ourselves while we're really trying to help other people promote themselves? It works hand in hand. Joining me for this show is my friend and colleague, DIANN FLOYD, and we have a wonderful guest backstage. I'd like to just share a little bit about DIANN, and then we'll bring her out. DIANN is someone who has really touched my heart in so many ways. If you're just joining us for the first time, you need to reach out to her. DIANN has traveled the world. She's lived so many places, and she's made connections and friends everywhere she goes. In addition to that, she's an award-winning author. She writes children's books and books for young adults. She is an expert when it comes to how you take the thoughts inside of you and put them on paper, and also how to be a master storyteller. Let's welcome DIANN FLOYD to the program.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN.
Hi, DIANN. So nice to see you today. How are you?
Very well, thanks. I woke up this morning nice and early and was already in the garden pulling weeds.
Oh, so wonderful. DIANN, I'm just so thrilled at your success and all that you've accomplished. You are gifted and talented in so many areas, and it extends through your family also, which is quite nice. I've had the pleasure of meeting your daughter, Rachel, who's lovely and extremely well accomplished. And I'm just wondering if you would share for our listeners and for our viewers, what are some of the things that you're really passionate about in your life?
Gee whiz, there's so many things, but family always comes first. And also, family is absolutely the most important. But the other thing I love doing is helping others. And as you know, Dr. JACALYN, I love connecting people. I love people. I love learning what makes them tick and then figuring out, oh my gosh, you need to know so and so, because the more we share in the world, the brighter the world can be.
So well said, DIANN. Thank you. And, as an author or as a broadcaster, as a producer, we need help in spreading our message to help other people. And many times it makes sense to realize that we only have so much time, so much bandwidth, and so many connections. And therefore, hiring someone like a publicist makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It sure does. And actually, I had no idea authors had publicists. So that was a real eye opener for me. And I learned about it through an author group that I belong to. And so today we're going to meet my publicist. I'm so excited.
Yay! I'm so excited to meet your publicist also. And I have to thank Mickey because he sent a number of people to the platform. And just before we bring him out, just one quick comment that I have. I never realized that every business person should consider having a publicist. Every author should consider having a publicist. I used to think it was just for the rich and famous, and that's not the case. So without further ado, let us bring out Mickey Mikkelson. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you both for having me. This is amazing.
It's our pleasure. We're so excited that you're here. So, Mickey, for people who are watching and listening, you just heard what I had to say. What are your thoughts about a publicist being an opportunity for everyone who has something to promote as opposed to just the rich and famous?
That's definitely a fallacy in place. There's lots of indie authors that have hired me. I have over 100 clients, half of which are indies, half of which also started with one debut book. And we've developed a formula that's given full success overall in terms of international media. So it works.
Excellent. Thank you for clarifying that for us. So tell us about your agency that you have, Creative Edge Publicity. What specifically do you do to help authors?
We set up book signings. We set up podcasts, radio, TV, print publications, newspapers. We're really focusing on the traditional media aspects. We're not focusing more on the social media aspects, although we do have arrangements with certain collaborators around that, but it's really around the traditional veins. And when I started this, that was the area that I found that most indie authors struggled to get into. So hence the company that was started in 2016.
Thank you. DIANN?
And so successful. And I'm so grateful that I have met you, Mickey. And you have, I mean, Dr. JACALYN, and for our viewers and listeners, I've gone from people not knowing me to being on several shows and also now magazine articles, and it's all due to you. And I'm getting subscribers, and yay.
Yay.
That's what it's about. So I'm glad it's working.
So
it's good.
I'm turning red. I'm so excited.
Mickey, what does that process look like for people who are thinking, oh, I'm waiting by the phone for a newspaper to contact me? That's not how it works, right? It's working through a publicist, you're exposed to opportunities that you wouldn't ordinarily be. Is that correct?
Yes and no. I can't speak to how other publicists leverage their business. I can only speak to my process that's been successful since 2016. As I said, we represent over 100 authors worldwide with some traditionals and indies as well. But the process really, I use the words building blocks. So what I do is we basically leverage small opportunities first in the form of bloggers, podcasters with maybe small numbers, and then ultimately graduate to medium and then large opportunities. So it's not a sprint, it's more like a long-term marathon. But if the author is willing to work within my process over the long term, they will have success, because I've seen that multiple times.
Thank you, Mickey. And for people who are interested in hiring you as a publicist, how does it work in terms of the commitment? Is it a week to week, month to month, year to year?
My strategy is I sign authors on a 1-year contract, and there is work involved. I mean, just because an author signs a publicist doesn't mean that they stop working on their marketing and their media platforms. In fact, really, the workload will likely increase because we'll be booking them interviews, and that will include written interviews, voice interviews, TV interviews, all of that. But typically, my contracts are set up a year at a time. Cancellation can be done within 30 days. And the reason I did that, there are lots of publicists out there who will set up contracts 3-6 month packages. I've just found that even 3 months in, the marketing and exposure that you're doing, it really doesn't take effect till about month 6, 7, or 8. So that's why the year contracts are there. And beyond that, it also builds loyalty. I've had authors that I've signed for 5 years. I've got one author who's a multiple New York Times bestseller. She's almost on a lifetime contract with me because of the results we're getting. So that's typically my process, and it's been very, very successful.
It sounds like it's a collaborative partnership as opposed to just one way, and together you can explore more opportunities. And I imagine the relationship you have with your clients gets to be quite good because you're really spending time understanding what are the goals of the client and how can you help achieve them together.
That is extremely true. Creative Edge is a community. It's a large community of authors, artists. We have a couple of actors as well, but it's a team environment. I'm not viewed as an employee. They're not viewed as a commodity. We work together and we have in-depth conversations, sometimes on a weekly basis, sometimes on a monthly basis, but it's all about tweaking and designing and making sure that my efforts are matching what the brand of my authors are. And it's been very fruitful from both sides.
Thank you for sharing that. Diane, tell us how you are able to incorporate what you do across many different, I'm trying to think of the word. You do so many things with your storytelling, your story garden, with your YouTube channel, with your writing, and even with some of the things that you do outside of this platform or others. So how have you been able to work with Mickey to get the whole DIANN, as opposed to these just parts, these isolated towers, the whole picture of DIANN out to a new audience?
Mickey, can one absorb the whole DIANN? I'm not quite sure. Mickey, if I say this correctly,
Please. Yeah.
He didn't just, say, okay, sure, I'll take you. I had an interview with them, and we needed to see if we matched. And he could have easily said, you know what, you're really not the person for me. And I had so much respect for that, because you do want to make sure that you work together and that you understand each other's goals. Would you say that was a fair assumption, Mickey?
Yeah, it's all about connection. I mean, and I always say this to authors when they start telling me about their books and want to gift me a copy of it to look at. I am probably the only publicist that will readily admit this. I don't read my clients' books because I don't want to be scarred if I think it's a bad book, and I don't want to be in the stars if I think it's a stellar book. So I'm having probably 10 interviews a week with authors, but I'm really signing them on what their mindset is, what their vision is, and whether or not they fit with me personality-wise, because if they fit with me personality-wise, it means they're going to fit with the other 100 people that I represent as well. And that is so important in this industry when you set up a community to have everybody be a cohesive unit. So that's what my process is. Does that sum it up, Diane, for you?
Yeah, that's great. And also, I have to agree with what you said earlier. It's really important, as you know, Dr. JACALYN, that once you do an interview, that you thank the person. And I always try very hard to thank Mickey for, arranging it. Just like with you, Dr. JACALYN, it's really important to me that I share our interviews, because you work very hard to get all your team of incredible speakers out there on your shows. So it's the same thing with Mickey. I want to make sure that I honor everybody that he connects me to. So it is a little bit more work, but it's exciting because that was exactly what I wanted. And I'm learning new hashtags.
Me too, because of you. So thank you for that.
Mickey, a question I have for you, I'm going to spotlight you while I ask, is so you're taking people who are authors or actors. They might not be expert presenters or interviewers. So how do they take what they know and increase their skill set, so when they do an interview that they come across as very professional?
So thank you for that question. And I always like addressing this. So a big part of that is the reason why we start most of our individual artists and authors and clients off on smaller podcasts in order for them to get comfortable, because usually the smaller podcasts are still learning themselves. And so it's a win-win to identify if there's a gap somewhere, then we can coach to that. I have multiple New York Times bestsellers that I represent. I have multiple USA Today bestsellers I represent. They're very, very, very skilled at doing the interviews. And so I will use them as my examples if there is coaching needed to emphasize that. The one thing I will stress is I don't like the media to give us the questions beforehand, because I believe that spontaneity is really effective when it comes to answers. And it really alludes to lack of nervousness at that point and all of that. So there are coaching methods that can and will be used if possible. But for the most part, if you get an interview from one of my small, lesser known indie authors and a New York Times bestseller comparatively, you're going to get about the same result because we coach to that.
That's fascinating. I'd love to hear that. And I also love to hear that you like to work with platforms where there is no script, because that's how we are here as well. Because it's
Yeah.
also a matter of people are not listening anymore because they're focused on the questions and getting through the questions to get to the answers.
Well, you get cookie cutter answers then, and it's just not good advertising at the end of the day.
Right. And the person, I mean, in my personal experience, I don't think you sell yourself as well because you're so focused on how you memorized it that you're not being your true self. So I love how Dr. JACALYN, you do it live, and Mickey, how you handle everything. I feel very blessed to have met you. Oh,
thank you. Me too. I mean, you're like a robot otherwise. And then you start asking the question, like, would you like fries with that? No, I do. right? So to quote McDonald's, I'm just saying, I mean, really, end of the day, right? So spontaneity is better.
Mickey, a question I have for you. You've created this community of 100 plus. And as I'm someone who's also creating a community, how do you give constructive feedback? That's a tough one.
It's all in the conversations and having positive reinforcement for things and tweaking what needs to happen. And it's really easy with my team because some members of my team who again are maybe debut authors, they're nervous about being on radio or TV. So again, we leverage written interviews first and graduate and put them in positions when they're ready to do it. I would never put a debut author on a national TV show has had no experience with interviews. I would never do that. So we prep everybody for success, and we'll use other interviews as leverage and examples. And if we have to role play for an interview, we'll do that as well. But that hasn't been needed for a long time. So, yeah.
Thank you. And Diann, over to you. As someone who's been on the stage, a teacher, a master storyteller, what do you do to keep your skills, presentation skills, interview skills at the highest level?
I co-host with you on the show.
That's the best example there is, though, really. You can't beat that experience.
I'm so blessed to have both of you. It's like I'm just so blessed. But I lost my frame of mind because it's so true. But I loved how you said, wasn't it, Mickey, the phrase you prepare them for a process for success. I think you use the process for success. Excuse me. And I really like that thought. Don't you, Dr. JACALYN? It's like in your listening skills. I don't know if you know it, Mickey, but Dr. JACALYN has this wonderful program and a process of becoming a better listener. And even when I thought that I didn't need listening skills, I was like, okay, I'll take it, right? And now I'm like, I find myself even today stopping if I'm listening to someone. I'm like, okay, I need to listen more. I want to be a better listener because I might want to cut them off. And it's all due to these courses. And so I think the process to success is an incredible phrase. And I think listening skills helps you with the process for success. But for me, I have never been camera shy. My mother said I came out singing.
I love that.
So
I love that.
I love that.
Dr. JACALYN, I hope you don't mind that I did a plug for your listeners.
No. I appreciate it. In fact, when I started this channel in January the 10th, I didn't have a lot of criteria in terms of listening skills and taking a workshop. But now anyone who comes on the platform has to take the listening course and also has to take a workshop on how to stand out. And if people don't like it, I understand, but then they can find another platform because I want everyone to be at the same level.
Well, professionalism is key, right? Especially when you're in this space, because there are so many other podcasts and so many other shows out there from a competition standpoint. So it's like an indie author with their book. If their book cover is not professionally looked at and it's not professionally edited, they're not going to stand out as well as an indie who's put that work in. So it's the same thing here. So I completely get it.
And can you talk a little bit about how you came up with your name for your agency, and then also what is it like to run a business, especially during the pandemic and then coming out at the other side?
So my company fell in my lap in 2016. I was representing an author, a friend of mine. We worked together in the corporate world, and she sent out a book. I got some signings for her, and they were successful. Then word got out, and about 8 other authors who I knew reached out to me, asked me if I could do the same thing. So I set up my own company, Creative Edge, not knowing what kind of name to do or logo or anything. And the insight came from my 9-year-old autistic daughter. She designed the logo, which is 2 puzzle pieces. One of those puzzle pieces is blue, which is the sign for autism. And she devised the name of Creative Edge. And she's like, Dad, you're connecting people. You're connecting media. You're connecting authors. So you have to have 2 puzzle pieces to show your connection. And then just to show that you're creative, we should call it like Creative Edge. But make sure that they don't walk off the edge, because then they fall flat on their faces. But that's what that's what happened out of it. And so Creative Edge was born 2016 March. So yeah.
That's a beautiful story. I love hearing that about the family dynamic. Wonderful.
Yeah. She did everything on that, and that logo's been in place ever since, and it's not going away.
It's a powerful story, isn't it? And it just shows you we all might have different learning obstacles, but we all have ways of being just shining stars. And your daughter is definitely a shining star.
Oh, she's been an advocate for me. When authors' birthdays come up, she's like, Dad, I want to sing happy birthday. So we do a little YouTube video for some, and we play a little happy birthday, and we send it off. And it's just really cool. Let's put it that way.
That's neat. That's neat.
It's lovely. Mickey, for people who are interested in working with you, what does that process look like? Diann talked about an interview. So what do people need to have? What criteria, what personality type, anything that you're looking for that you say to yourself, wow, this is a great connection. I want to bring this person into my community?
So thank you for that question as well, actually. I'm not really looking for a set personality type. I'm not looking for high bubbly. I'm not looking for mainstream confident ego. Really, it all comes down to that initial interview and finding out what people want to do with their book. If the first thing they say to me is, Mickey, you're going to get me in the New York Times, or you're going to get me on Oprah, or you're going to get me in NPR or something like that, and they're a brand new debut author with their first book, I'll be honest, I'm likely not going to sign that person, because their expectations are way out of scope for what I'm willing or can do. What I want is for people to have a battle plan in place and have real set expectations of what they're willing to do, what they're willing to go through, and understand that this is going to be a long, drawn out process. But at the end of the gate, you should have success, provided you're able to follow those guidelines. And that's really what I'm looking for at the end of the day. I've taken introverts who are extremely shy, and they've become amazing clients. I've taken artistic people like Diann, and they've become amazing clients. But it really comes down to, is it a personality fit? And that's
Yes.
the gist of it.
Thanks for that transparency. I appreciate that. I feel the same way when people reach out to me. If someone's leading with their ego, and I just had this happen recently, I won't mention anything, but person, I need to have this, and this on the promo, and I need to be featured on your website. And I'm sorry, that's not we lead with our heart here. It's about helping other people and leading by example, not having your ego smashed all over the place. That's not going to work for me. So I think that it's really important that as business owners, that we understand what our boundaries are. We understand who it is that we're going to be comfortable with, because again, it is, as you mentioned, a community, but it's also you and the other person, 2 people working together.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that. Let's make one point if I can. The authors who I've worked with who have said to me, Mickey, I only want big reach opportunities. I only want opportunities that are going to hit millions of people, or the podcast has 50,000 views or whatever. I've tried working with individuals like that. It has never been successful. And some of these people are like big name New York Times bestsellers, and they have less success working with me than some of the indies who are able to do all these small things and follow the process and ultimately lead back into sales. So it's a proven fact.
It's funny that you mentioned that. It inspired me to just share this with you. We've had
Yeah.
some big people on this platform, and what I found was they didn't do any publicity beforehand. They didn't do any publicity afterwards, and many times they weren't actually listening. But to people who don't have that kind of exposure, this is an amazing opportunity. It's a dream for many people. So
Yeah.
I just think I think my takeaway is wherever you are in the world, whatever you've accomplished, check your ego at the door, really, and just lead with your heart, because I think that's what is so important for all of us in this world.
Agree. And if you don't do that, don't yell at your publicist because you're not selling books. Seriously, because it's happened. It's like, don't yell at me. I got you the gigs. It's not my fault you're not sharing them, really, right?
Right.
Honestly, end of the day. So, yeah.
And also, I just want to chime in that by having you, it has freed me up to concentrate more on my writing, to concentrate more on having the time to work on Talking Heads, which is a platform of Dr. Jacalyn's that I truly love being a part of. And so I'm able to use my intelligence for things that I'm capable of doing. And I have you doing your magic. But one thing I also would like to add that you've taught me is that just because you're on Fox or CNN or whatever, to the Today Show, I love how you always say their purpose is not selling books. Could you address to that? You make sure where people want to know about books, right?
Yeah. So I always strategize with all of my clients. And thank you for bringing this up, Diane. My goal with every single client I represent is not to push the book or the latest release. That's a byproduct of what the brand is. And really, traditional interviews, especially audio and video, they're meant to focus on the author as a brand name, not the book. Stephen King is a classic example of this. He's not known for writing Carrie or The Stand or Cujo or Misery Alone. He's known for writing every one of those books and having mainstream success doing so. And the way he did that, and multiple other people have done this as well, he was able to find focus on the brand name itself. And that's what we're trying to do, is focus on the author branding, because once you've got the author branding in place, the sales of the books, they'll come because readers will now know that it's a Peter Straub book or a Tosca Lee book or a Diane Bone book, all of that. McDonald's is another classic example of that. They're not known for just the Quarter Pounder or the Big Mac. They're known for the Golden Arches. When you're driving around and you're looking for McDonald's, the first thing you look for is the Golden Arches. And that's the branding piece of it. So that's what we're trying to do in the author world.
We know how important branding is, don't we, Diane?
Oh yes, and I really appreciate that, and I love everything I'm learning from you. So thank you, Mickey.
Oh, thanks.
And I know, Dr. Jacalyn, you having USA Global TV and Radio, what a huge big brand. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
it's the
kudos,
same thing.
By the way. And Mickey, she just became registered, right, Dr. Jacalyn?
The trademark is registered. The trademark is registered now.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yes. Congratulations. And really, I was going to thank you at the end of this, but thank you so much as well for your support with all of my authors too. So I appreciate it.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And your authors are very professional and very interesting. Mickey, I'm wondering if you can share with our audience, what are you interested in doing? What are you doing when you're not working in your publishing capacity?
I'm always working, to be honest, but my big two passions are, well, I'm a big avid comic book collector. So I read a lot of Golden Age and Silver Age comic books and Batman and all that stuff. And then I'm also a really avid music collector, and music is playing all the time while I'm working, because I work from home, so it's hard for me to walk away from the computer. I do occasionally, but I'm usually on it when I'm up. So yeah, those are my two passions, so to speak. Big Beatles fan, love them. Branding. John Paul, George and Ringo, right? Yeah.
It's comic books and music, and you are
Yeah.
a workaholic, it sounds like, just like I am. Diane, you
Yeah.
work a lot too, but you do find time for gardening, for example, your family. I admire
Right.
that.
Right. And so that means sometimes it's in the wee hours of the night, and sometimes I just have to veg in front of the TV too. So I'm really bad about that. But sometimes if you just let your brain go, then the things that you're wanting to be inspired about, it hits you in the middle of the night. And so like the other night I wrote about 3,000 words in the middle of the night because finally the words came, right?
It happens, right?
Yeah. So that's how I am. And I just, I feel so blessed to be born, to be on this earth. And so I just want to keep learning as much as I can. So people say you should just concentrate on a couple of things and do great. But no, I want to know how to quilt. I want to know how to crochet. I want to know how to be better with the piano. I want to be able to sing, la, 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 la,
Awesome.
So I just want to dabble in it all while I'm blessed to be on the earth, and then turn around and help others. So
it's amazing, multi-talented. I do have an odd cat walking around sometimes. I give my attention to her in between my breaks. Just know that as well. So,
what's your cat's name?
Her name is Ari, and she's a 11-month-old purebred Bombay.
Oh, can we see her? Is she right there?
She was. I shoot her away because I wasn't sure I don't know where she went. So
Okay.
Next time.
Maybe
You're
she might jump. Yeah, she's usually on my computer, but I shoot her away for this. So
Mickey, you'll have to watch one of Dr. Jacalyn's shows about the pet psychic, right, Dr. Jacalyn?
Oh, cool. I love that. I love cats. Cats are amazing, incredible creatures.
I love how they're so independent.
They can be. Mine's incredibly dependent, but I hear you.
Oh,
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, mine. I don't know. She's around me usually all the time. It's insane. So, anyways, but usually you're right. They're usually really, really independent. So maybe my cat's an author deep down. Who knows? We'll see.
So you deal with all these authors in your community, and you mentioned that you intentionally don't read their books, that you like comic books. But if you're going to read, what genre do you like to read?
I typically will read horror. I like the classics. I actually just finished Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm a purist, which is why that is. So my all-time favorite author is actually Peter Straub. And if I ever sign him, that'll be a pipe dream. I would love that. But that's the kind of stuff that I tend to read. Yeah.
Any writing in your future?
No. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I see the stress that authors go through and the editing process and all of that. And secondly, and this is more the true answer to that, I'm really passionate about my clients and what they want to do. And I don't want to take energies away from helping promote them. And I just think, even if I was going to write a book, I wouldn't want to do that because I want to focus my energies on my team and my business. So, yeah.
And Mickey, I appreciate you sharing that. I'm wondering from your perspective in the work that you do, how do you continue to learn about new platforms or new ways to promote your clients?
That's twofold. Part of it's looking into the media itself to find out opportunities and talk with our media affiliates about what they're looking for. And then the second part of that is actually through my clients themselves and the interviews and discussions that we have, because my clients have a lot of incredible ideas about what they want to do. Most of them make sense. Some don't. We have discussions, in my opinion, about that. But really, they're the ones bringing ideas to me. I'm the one that just makes them plan out at the end of the day through contacts. But and that's why I say it's, again, a community, and one hand feeds the other, and we work as a team. And like the Titanic thing, I jump, you jump. That's very, very, very relevant within our business and my working relationships with my team. So,
thank you. And we mentioned before, I think it was Diann, you talked about the major networks that people are aware of around the world. Mickey, when you're looking to place one of your community members for an interview, Do you care if it's a network opportunity or if it's a streaming opportunity like this? How do you gauge that?
My focus is always to hit reader-focused areas. This will be maybe not a great comment or an unpopular one, but I'm of the belief that Fox News is all well and good. The New York Times is amazing. All those things are, but they're elitist mediums. Basically, they're not targeting any one specific area. And so what I prefer to do is hit smaller, focused media aspects that are going to attract readers. So for Dianne's book, we're going to hit general reader-focused areas, but we're also going to hit specific children's books areas because that's what she writes in. So it's a two-pronged attack, and we've had a lot of success with that. I used to represent a New York Times bestseller, USA Today bestseller. I didn't get her on one major national outlet. I have the contacts for those. We just didn't target them for one launch. And she sold more books during that launch than she had the last 4, where she was featured in the Huffington Post, Forbes, and other magazines. And the reason that happened is because we hit reader-focused outlets where people are paying attention and want to be able to buy books and entertain and learn about writers in general and in scope.
I love this.
Yeah. I'm so lucky.
Now, if I want to get
Dianne
Dianne on Oprah, I will try and do that because that will be a big win. But I don't know if it's going to sell many more books. I'm just saying.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Sorry, Oprah, that was not a shot. Trust me.
Yeah, no, we understand.
It's so funny. I have my vision board here, which you can't see because of the green. But the top thing I have is I'm on the stage with Oprah.
Well, there you go. Maybe she'll call you, or maybe she'll call me. In which case, I'll hook you up. How's that sound?
I love it.
There you go.
Dianne, if you think about where you want to be featured in the future, and you're hearing what Micky's saying about where readers are going to be the main audience or interested audience, where would you like to be featured?
Gee whiz, I need to think about that. But I think I would follow Mickey's guidance, number one. But number two, wherever there are parents and readers, and it doesn't have to be a vast number, it's people who are truly interested in wanting to be inspired. And then I get to go and speak to them about it. And then if I'm lucky enough, they'll go, okay, I'm going to buy their books. So sometimes it can be, major children's museums. It can be in a school auditorium. I don't need a glossy giant name. I just want people who truly, like Mickey said, people who really are interested in wanting to just relax, take a book, and enter a new world.
Yeah. Good answer.
Mickey,
Awesome.
I'm just wondering, for people out there who may be working with a publicist already, is there ever a reason to work with 2 publicists, maybe to have you and someone else concentrating on different areas, or does that not make sense?
I want to tread very carefully with this answer if I can, because I work with a lot of in-house publicists with Penguin and Hachette because they're contracted to work with authors that I work with. And it's typically a 2-pronged attack because those in-house publicists will usually market the book for about 3 months and then they'll stop. And their marketing is around major publications like the Toronto Star or Houston Chronicler or whatever. And they'll focus on social media places. And then I go in and focus on the areas and the affiliates that I have, which again are very reader and writer focused. So it's a 2-pronged attack that way. I have never really worked with another independent publicist. And the reason I don't do that as a practice is there's always this saying of too many chiefs in the kitchen or too many leaders in the kitchen. And so you don't know what direction you're going to go. And the danger of doing that is a lot of outlets will then be double, triple, quadruple dipped with the same news aspects. And so you're also ticking off media when that happens. If I'm an editor of a magazine, I don't want to be contacted several times by different people about the same story or same pitch. So it's usually just me or nothing. That's typically how I've rolled, and we've had success doing that.
I love that. That's clear boundary. That makes a lot of sense. In
Being
terms
transparent.
of, yeah, no, I think that's great. In terms of some of the opportunities, just for our audience to understand, are some of them immediate where you get an opportunity? It's like, hey, I've got till the end of the day to get you on this interview or to get you to write something, or are they, I guess it depends. It's an individual case basis.
I've never had to deal with an immediate, I need this person today, now kind of a deal. And the reason that is we strategize about how we get to know the media. We get to know their families. We make relationships folding, all of that. And it's done over a long period of time. So for example, just in the hypothetical, here's an example. The TV station where I live, I've got a really good relationship with them. We've gone out for multiple discussions, Facebook friends, all of that. I sent them 5 press releases last month for pitches. All 5 were taken and all 5 were booked because they know the kind of people I'm bringing forward for them. Plus they have a relationship with us. And we've done that kind of process probably between 45 and 55 times, that we have leverage opportunities that we can multiply and use every single month. So there's really no instantaneous need for anybody, to be honest.
Excellent. Thank you. And as we come to the end of our show, just so that we make sure everybody out there understands, you work with authors, but you also work with others. Who are the others? In other words, if someone is wanting to hire you, but they don't fall into author category, what are some exceptions that you make?
Every person that I work with has written a book as well, but they have other things in place. I represent an actor who's been on Desperate Housewives, has been on Scandal. I represent a best-selling Billboard saxophonist who also happens to be an international bestseller. I've got multiple authors who are also actresses and film producers. And so it's very, very diverse. And it's very, very exciting because there's all these other things that I can market those individuals with. And so everything does focus on books, but we transpose out to all kinds of different areas. And that's a powerful statement at the end of the day.
Yes, it absolutely is. I love the whole way that you've set up your business and your business process. It's very different than other publicists that I've spoken with before. And I think you have the winning combination.
Oh, thank you so much. This is recorded, right? I can broadcast that out to the world.
It
is. Dr. JACALYN says.
Well, and I was asking you that question also because I have 2 books, but there's a number of other things that I do, and I'm going to be contacting you to see if we can work together.
I'm open to that. Absolutely. We'll have a conversation. DIANN can fill you in on what's going to take place there, just FYI.
Okay. I'll be reaching out to you, DIANN. Okay. So, Mickey, for people who are not able to read the banner that we have here or they're on the radio listening, can you please share how can people reach out to you and who do you want to reach out to you as potential community members?
Yeah, so I'm really looking for authors who have everything together. Their book is published, they have a website, they have a professional headshot, they feel that their book is properly edited, and the book covers are vibrant, and they have a direction of where they want to go. And hopefully they don't mention Oprah to me first off, because I can't do that. From a contact standpoint, my website's www.creative-edge.services.com. They can also reach me at my email address, mickey.creativeedge@gmail.com. And look me up. All my clients are on my Facebook page. All my clients are on my website. You can see all the names and labels and everything else. And if you're open to it, let's have a discussion.
All right. Thank you. You've made it easy for people to find you. Appreciate that.
Thank you for this. Thank you for this.
Thank you. All right. I'll look forward to chatting with you soon, Mickey. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for the support, ladies. Nice talking with both of you.
It's great to see you, Mickey, and thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you as well.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Diann, thank you so much for bringing Mickey to the platform. And he sent us a number of wonderful people. And I think this show and the wise ones, we are booked for a long time. So thank you both for that.
You're welcome. But isn't he great? And I am learning so much. And like you and I have spoken about, I had no idea that you could have a publicist. And I'm so grateful to the author group I belong to that had him on. And I was like, before it was even over, I was like, okay, no, how do I get in touch with him? I think, and as soon as the meeting was over, I was like, send.
I love when those things happen. And when I think about how much you've accomplished since I met you, what was it, a year ago I met you, or a year and a half? I don't even know, but it's tremendous, Diann.
I know it's, I bet a little over a year. And how wonderful to be on this journey with you. It's an incredible journey. It's an honor. And I love watching you grow. And I think I want to know what pill you're taking, because you become more beautiful every time I see you. It's like, okay, I need that pill.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It's so funny because I am by myself almost all the time behind the green screen. Now that I'm in New Jersey, I'm actually able to look out. We have windows all around and I see the birds and the water. But in Florida, I'm in a very dark, small room. It's pitch black except for the lights in front of me. So maybe it's just the fact that I have some sunlight on me now. I don't know.
Which is so funny to say, because Florida is all about sunshine. Everybody remember that.
I know, it's crazy. But
Yeah.
I'm going to spotlight you for you to share your contact information as we have our next show coming up. So Diann, how can people reach you? How can they purchase your books? How can they learn how to be a master storyteller?
Sure. How to be a master storyteller. Come to Talking Heads on Dr. Jacalyn's show, USA Global TV and Radio. And you can reach me on my website, DIANN-FLOYD-BOEHM. And now we have audible. So if you can't remember how to spell my name, just say it into your computer and it'll find me. And I'm on Amazon, Barnes & Noble for my books. And generally you can purchase at your local bookstore. They just order it and voila, it'll be at your doorstep. But it's DIANN-FLOYD-BOEHM.com. And I know it looks like BOEHM, but we pronounce it BOEHM. So DIANN-FLOYD-BOEHM.com. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Diann. I remember I told you when I first met you, I was so intimidated by the three names and I could never say BOEHM. I could never get it right. And now I just have, it's like, it's just ingrained in my brain.
I almost didn't date the guy because I was like, how does he spell his name? And of course, being a Southern girl, I grew up that girls don't call boys, and he was the first guy I ever really wanted to call. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't even know how to spell his name. He didn't spell it phonetically correct. But he turned out to be such a great guy. I said, okay, I'll live with that name.
And look at you now. That's great. How long have you been married?
We just celebrated 43 years. Isn't that amazing?
That is. It's amazing. I guess you started dating when you were 5.
Okay. Right. But, it just goes to show you marriage is all about give and take, right?
It definitely is, yes. Yeah. And as we close out the show, Diann, I just want to mention to our audience, this just popped into my head. This Saturday, June the 11th, one of our team members, Roland Friedel, something else, Roland Friedel and I are hosting a workshop that is all about presentation skills. So if anyone out there, any of Micky's clients or any of you out there who are watching, it's very reasonable. It's 4 hours and you can attend it in person over Zoom, of course, or we'll send you the link. It's $197. And we actually walk you through everything you need to know about being camera ready, from the green screen to the lighting, then how to be an outstanding host, interviewer, and also how to be an excellent presenter and guest. So if you're interested in that, you can go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com, book your session.
I am so glad you brought that up. Don't go yet. I want you to do a plug for what is happening in Philly.
Yes, on Sunday, thank you for bringing that up. we are going to be live streaming from the Lincoln Financial Field, which is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States of America. It is where the Philadelphia Eagles football team, the NFL football team, they have their home, and that's where they play. So I am proud to say that my team, Dr. J's Colitis crew, will be there and will also be as USA Global TV live streaming. But my team and I have raised over, I hope I get the number right, I think it's over $7,000. So we have the ability to not only tour the concourse and man our booth, but we'll be walking on the field after we run out through the tunnel where the players run out. And then we get to go into the Eagles locker room and have our picture taken with the Super Bowl trophy.
That is so exciting.
I think it is just absolutely phenomenal. So thank you. And Diane, you reminded me, I have a slide that I want to start showing with all of our sponsors. Diane's one of our sponsors for our team. So thank you, Diane.
You're welcome. I'm so sad I'm not going to be there, but family calls. But tell people who want to be able to support your team how they can go about doing that.
Thank you. So it's for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, the Philadelphia, Delaware chapter, and I am on the board. I am the marketing chair. I am a support group facilitator and team captain for Take Steps and Spin for Cures. So if you're interested in sponsoring our team for the Take Steps Walk 2022, you can go over to my Facebook page, which is JACALYN KERBECK, my personal page, and you can find the link there. Just type in Take Steps and it should come up. If not, you can email me or you can message me on Facebook if that will help.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because Dr. JACALYN, what you're doing is really helping people around the world, because if we can figure out how to make Crohn's go away, wouldn't that be a wonderful, wonderful thing for so many people? I personally have a friend besides you, but a family member who suffers from it, and it is not a pleasant thing. And I don't think many people really understand what Crohn's is all about, or some people have never even heard of it. So thank you.
No, thank you. And I have ulcerative colitis, which is the other one, but people don't want to talk about it because it involves running to the bathroom and it's very painful. It's very humiliating. And until I got involved with the chapter in 2018, I was always ashamed. And guys that I would date would say I was disgusting. They don't want anything to do with me because I have this illness, and just really does a number on your self-esteem. So if you are a patient, please do reach out and find a support group. You can just go to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.org on the web, and the list of support groups is right there. So,
and thanks for correcting me. I'm sorry I messed up, but
no, you didn't mess up. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
But Diane and I are going to say goodbye for now because our next show is coming up. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And thanks again, Mickey.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mickey. Bye, everybody.
Bye.